Hi everybody, I have a new video for you today. This video is going to be showing you my whips and future projects. It's actually my second take on this video because I did it previously on my daughter's laptop, and then when I went to edit it, all the sound was out of sync and absolute nightmare. So I'm going to do it all over again, and this time I'm going to use my trusty old camera to do the recording. So I'm going to switch to camera view now and show you what I've got. So the first whip I have to show you is the Magical Creatures calendar from cloudsfactory.net. This was my first ever stitch along, and it's also my first ever mystery stitch along. So the way this calendar works is on the first of each month they would release the pattern for that month, and then you'd stitch along to it, obviously not knowing what the final design would be. But they did say it would be about magical creatures, and I've always had an interest in magical creatures, unicorns and fairies and things like that. And obviously this is all themed around American seasons, and obviously I'm in Australia, and you might all think that's a little bit weird, but I actually really love America, and have a couple of years ago we went to America on a holiday and visited 5 states and fell in love with it even more. So that's why I decided to do this stitch along, because even though the seasons are all wrong, it just reminds me of America so much. So I hope to have this finished as a wall hanging that I can hang up in my room. So this, as well as this being my first stitch along, it was also my first time stitching on a hand-dyed fabric. And this is a 32 count pale blue hand-dyed linen, and I paid extra for the glitter effect, but unfortunately it doesn't really show up on photos or on video. So the material was made exclusively for this design from Dove Stitch, and it's called Magical Clouds. This was also my first time using glow-in-the-dark DMC, and I'm not really sure that I really like the thread. It's quite thick to stitch with. It has a different feel about it than the normal DMC floss, but the overall effect is really, really great. It really does glow in the dark. So maybe once I finish this calendar, I'll try and do a photograph showing you the difference that the glow in the dark makes. So I'll just do a bit of a close-up so you can see each month a little bit better. So there's January, February. I really like March. April, May. June's really cute as well, the dragon and the castle. July, August, of course, who doesn't love unicorns? They look really great, glow in the dark as well. September and October. And November's pattern has been released. I haven't actually started it yet, but see here that it's 3 fairies. It's really cute, so I'm really glad they put fairies in this design. I think that will finish it off lovely. So this design I actually have been stitching along when I come home from work. I have about an hour to myself each day before I start cooking dinner. So I work a little bit on it each day, and it doesn't impact at all on my major whip. Sorry, my cat is deciding to, she wants to get in the photograph too. That's Angel. And Smokey's here as well. Okay, so that's it for that one. Okay, so next is the one I know a lot of you have been waiting to see, especially everyone that follows me on Instagram. This is my Heaven and Earth Designs Blue Dragon by Kaomi Harai. Hopefully I've said that right. This is my very first ever Heaven and Earth designs. I discovered the site in January this year, and obviously fell in love with a lot of patterns on there, like you all do, and decided I would do something for my son. So I let him pick something out that he liked, and he chose this one. I'm really glad he did, because it has been so enjoyable to stitch. I absolutely love it. I'll show you how I started. I actually started on the recommended 25 count linen, stitched 2 threads over 1, and I really didn't like it. As you can see, I stitched a fair portion. That was probably 1 column on page 1, and I decided that I really didn't like it. The linen had too much movement for me. Each row, as I was going down the column, the next row would be really squished, and it was evident. It was as I was going further along, it was just going to be harder and harder to get that nice straight stitch. So I made the hard decision to start again, and this time I started on 18 count Waiata. And there it is there. That's what I'm currently up to. So I have to say, switching this to 18 count Aida was the best decision I have ever made. This is actually stitched 2 over 1 as well, full crosses, and I used the parking method, and this was also my very first time using the parking method. I have done a couple of big designs before in the past. So I've done a mystic stitch and another large one. I can't remember who it was by. So I was familiar with these types of patterns, but had never done anything on this big a scale. And one of those stitches that I get really bored doing large blocks of colour. So I knew that for this to keep my attention long enough, I needed to do something a little bit more challenging, and I decided to give the parking technique a go. So I did a little bit of research, watched some YouTube videos, read some blogs, and I pretty much just took a little bit of one person's idea, took a little bit of another person's idea, and made it work for myself. And that's what I love about parking. There's no right or wrong way. There's only your way, whatever works best for you. So I have been asked by a lot of people to show my technique, so I will get around to that, I promise. Just ironing out a lot of issues with doing these videos and uploading to YouTube. So once I can get all that streamlined, then I hope to get a lot more videos done. So this design I started on the 25th of January. I'm currently on page 15 and 21. So 15 is to this section, and that's all that's left of the last few pages. It's just that narrow band all the way across. So instead of doing that and then coming back to do that, I've decided to just finish off the last 2 pages. So all I have left to do is that area along there. So it hasn't taken me long. I do stitch on it every single night for roughly 5 or 6 hours, and I actually really look forward to sitting down. I'm not bored with it at all. I was really hoping to get this finished by Christmas this year for my son, but I don't think that's going to be possible because I will be going away for a week at the end of November. So that's 3,500 stitches I'll miss out on. So unless I can catch that up, it's possibly not going to be finished in time. But that doesn't matter. I wanted it finished by 1st of January at the latest because of the stitch alongs that I'll be joining in on next year. But I'm sure I'll figure something out. So I'll just do a little close up for you. I will insert a picture of the scroll fully open so you can see everything that I've done. But for now I'll just show you how it is. So I really love the detailing in this piece. I never expected it to be so sharp and detailed, but it's really great, especially around his mouth with the teeth and the tongue. It's just fantastic. And I'm looking forward to, see on here, looking forward to stitching the yellow ball. That's where it will go there. So that's going to be quite quick to do that area. But all in all, I've absolutely loved this, and I will not hesitate to start another Heaven and Earth design, although the next one I will possibly attempt on a different fabric, but I'll get to that in a minute. So that's it for that one. So this one is my longest whip, or you could probably classify it as a UFO, an unfinished object. This one, I'm not sure what year I started it. I know my daughter was very small. She's 17 now. The magazine is dated 1992. So quite possibly that could have been when I started it. This is called Sugar and Spice Christmas Stocking, and it's a Better Homes and Gardens magazine. This is stitched on 25 count mushroom Lugana. It's my first time ever stitching with Lugana, and oh, it's beautiful fabric. It's nice and soft, very easy to stitch. I've been, as you can probably see in the photo, nothing I've shown you today has been ironed. This was stitched in a hoop. It's 3 threads over one, full crosses, but there's also a very large amount of fractional stitches. This is also my first Christmas stocking that I've ever stitched. I actually went on to buy the magazine that specialises in these types of stockings, so in the hope that I would do one for each member of the family. Now the reason why I stopped stitching this was because I got to the point where I realised this was actually beyond my skill level at the time. I had started something that was far more difficult than I had stitched before, and the problem with it was where the fractional stitches are, I haven't completed the final leg of the stitch. Instead, I've left it open thinking that the back stitch would cover the final stitch. So I'll just zoom in a little bit closer. So as you can see here, hopefully you can see, there's a lot of unfinished stitches there. So I now know how that needs to be finished, so it's quite easy to tackle. But the other issue I had was up here. And these little cameos. There's 2 of them, they're identical, and it's a petite stitch. Don't think the instructions were quite clear, either that or I didn't understand them, but I'm certain now that that's meant to be stitched one thread over one, and instead I stitched it two threads over one. So I actually had a really tough time in getting that second cameo stitched, and I remember finishing it and thinking, oh my goodness, I have to do another one, and I really don't want to. So all that needs to be unpicked and restarted and done properly. But because it was done so long ago, I don't have a problem with that. Pretty certain I can get that done. So when I go away in November, I'll actually be taking this along with me and hoping to get it finished. I noticed there are a couple of ladies on the Facebook group, Cross Stitch and Discuss Too, that are stitching this. So it's helped watching their progress. Makes me want to continue on with this and get it finished. I've never been a person to have more than one whip on the go. I've always been a one project at a time person. So I've never liked the fact that this one's been sitting in the cupboard unfinished while I've been working on something else. But next year it's all going to change, because I'm going to be doing several of the stitch alongs with all you lovely ladies. And I'm going to have to work out a rotation. But anyway, that's that one for now. So hopefully my next video I'll have a little bit of progress to show you on that. So this next one is a start and a finish, and it's a Lizzie Kate design, Bless the Graduate. And I have stitched this one for my daughter to celebrate her graduating from high school this year. She's only just graduated and she's still currently doing exams, but we're having the graduation dinner in a couple of weeks and she's not expecting this, and I thought it would be really nice. I love Lizzie Kate designs. I think they're nice and easy to stitch and very quick. But I wasn't keen on the colours of this design, as she uses the blues and the reds. So my daughter's favourite colour is purple, so I decided to change this one. So I've used a mixture of colours here. It's stitched on 32 count lamb's wool linen, which I really love the feel of the linen. And I've stitched this with a combination of the DMC purples, 209, 2010 and 211, I believe. The Bless I actually had done in a much lighter colour, but it really didn't show up, so I decided to unpick that and restitch it. Along the border here, the top and the bottom, I used variegated thread, DMC 52, and that was my first time I've ever used variegated thread, so it was a little bit of a learning curve and quite fun. And I used metallics in here. So for the star I used E3837, and the little swirls E211. Hopefully they're showing up okay on there. This is my first time ever changing a pattern. I'm a stitcher that pretty much follows a pattern to the T, but I had no choice with this one because I wasn't happy with the colours. I also had to purchase a little heart button because the button didn't come with the pattern. I'm not sure whether it was supposed to or not, but the red wouldn't have matched anyway. So I'll just do a bit of a close-up on that for you. So as I said, that was really nice, quick to stitch up. So I'll be framing this one myself, giving it to my daughter very soon. And also while I was stitching this, I had a bit of problems with the metallics. These metallics I used were the DMC Jewel Effects. And it reminded me of many, many years ago I stitched a King Tutankhamun, which had a lot of metallics in it. And I remembered a few tricks that I used, which helped alleviate a lot of the problems. So I ended up using those tips, tricks, whatever, in this design. So I think I'll do another video for you guys, because I know a lot of you are going to be doing the black work sampler and using the metallics in there. And I think a couple of the tricks that I have might help some of you. So look out for that video. Alright, so that's it for that one. Please join me in part 2 for my future projects video.